Our guest today, Mr. Sean Kanan. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, sir. Thank you for being on the show. That's how this works. All right, let's jump right into it because I know you're a busy man. You got a lot going on in this pandemic-hindered world that we're living in. You're still cranking out content. So let's go back to where I know you from, to where the first time I ever heard the name Sean Kanan, and that was in possibly one of the best movie franchises in history, which is The Karate Kid. You actually played the villain, the antagonist to Ralph Macchio's protagonist in Karate Kid 3. Now, I heard some stories about how you got the job. I heard that you showed up and there's like 2,000 people, trying to get this role. And you pulled some strings. You knew somebody. You were able to slip in the side door and get a chance to kind of bypass a lot of that. Is that how that worked?
Well, no, I didn't get to bypass any of it. As a matter of fact, it's true. I got the role from an open call. I stood in line with about 1,500, 2,000 people, and John Avildsen, who had won the Academy Award for Rocky and had directed the first two Karate Kid films, was walking up the line, and he was stopping every now and again to interact with somebody, and I knew I had about 3 seconds to get his attention, and I did, and he sent me inside the studio, and it was a 3-ring circus. I mean, there was all these media outlets like Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood. There was a set that they'd built, and there was Ralph Macchio, and they had me do a scene with Ralph, and I ultimately wound up getting the role. They did hire somebody else first, and he worked for about 4 or 5 days, and I guess it didn't work out with him. And luckily for me, they remembered me and gave me a call. And I was driving down Sunset Boulevard, heading to Burbank to go to the studios, and I'll never forget. I looked up and I saw the Hollywood sign, and we always say, sometimes the Hollywood sign smiles at you, and other times it kind of smirks at you. And it was definitely smiling at me that day, and I wound up going into the production office, and there was John Avildsen and Robert Mark Kamen, who had written the Karate Kid films and later went on to write Taken with Liam Neeson. Very successful guy, and
right.
We talked for a few minutes, and they said, "That's it, you're heading off to wardrobe," and I was in the film.
So you're an East Coast guy. And because you like I said, you lived out on the East Coast. I think you initially, attended Boston University. I noticed in some of the notes I had here, you got your degree in political science from UCLA. Now,
that is correct.
Did you move out there to go to school?
I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, in a town called Newcastle, which is about 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh,
okay.
Close to the Ohio border. I did 2 years at Boston University, and then, I decided if I was really going to pursue acting, I needed to move to either New York or Los Angeles, and I just figured it was easier to be broke where the weather was nice. So I moved out to Los Angeles, finished my degree at UCLA, and while I was finishing my degree, I wound up getting the role in Karate Kid 3.
Well, I figured that's how it played out. I figured you went to the West Coast because of the potential for your acting career to take off, but you also it's kind of crazy. Everybody goes out west to pursue an acting career. Their college kids are in school. You actually finished your degree, which is quite an accomplishment because a lot of them go out and as soon as they land their first acting job, that's it. They forget about college.
Yeah, I really do have to attribute that to my parents. Education has always been very important in my family, and probably if left to my own devices, I may not have finished. And my parents were really adamant. They said, "Look, we'll be supportive of what you're doing, but you got to finish your degree." And I did, and it's something I'm very proud of. And I think it's made a lot of difference in my life.
Well, let's see. Quick question here. The Karate Kid 3, that was your very first acting job, or you did like most, you had some small bit commercials and stuff
had
like
done,
that?
some guest star work on some television shows, but I had not worked a whole lot. I mean, it was really very early in my career, and it was far and away the biggest job that I'd ever booked. It was heads and tails beyond doing a guest star on a television show. It was the third installment of a successful franchise, multi-million-dollar picture that had been a worldwide success. And, for me, it was kind of surreal because a year or so before that, I was a paying member of the audience at a movie theater to see The Karate Kid 2. And now here I am on the back lot of one of the studios, acting with Ralph Macchio and Martin Kove and, Pat Morita. It was a lot to take in.
So this is your first major film role. It also was almost your last, because I heard a rumor that you almost died. Was it during the filming, or was it as filming was beginning?
We'd been filming for about 2 weeks, and I was having some significant pain in my left thigh, and I thought it was from all the karate I was doing, because I was doing a lot of martial arts, the choreography, everything, training. And what had happened was I did a stunt that really had nothing to do with martial arts. I had to jump and fall on the floor about 2 feet from where I was standing. Just did it over and over again, and I wound up causing internal bleeding, and the blood was dripping down on my femoral artery in my thigh, and I was taking a lot of aspirin, and because I didn't know I was bleeding internally, and that, it's a blood thinner, so it exacerbates the bleeding. So we broke for the holidays, and it was Christmas Day 1989. I was in Las Vegas, and I passed out in the Dunes Hotel, and the EMTs came, and, I had almost no blood pressure. They took me to the hospital and told me they'd have to operate on me, and I thought that meant Monday, but it meant in 15 minutes, and they said, listen, we're going to try and save your life. And I was just, it was stunned. They made me sign a release, and here I am, young, strong, starring in a martial arts film, and I'm being told they don't know if they can save my life. My dad flew out from Pennsylvania at midnight. They could only get one plane ticket. That was all that was available, so they decided my dad would come out. And I woke up in the recovery room and had about a 14-inch scar on my abdomen. The first day I got out of bed, I could go to the bathroom. The second day I could walk around the hospital room floor, and by about the third or fourth day, I had them discharge me against medical advice. And the producers decided they were going to keep me in the movie, but they were going to have a stuntman do all the martial arts, which was really, it was very difficult for me because I had trained extensively, and, I knew what I was doing, and I wanted to do my own stunts. So the studio put me together with a guy who was a lineman for the then Rams, and he started training me. And, it was kind of like the first day I could do a couple sit-ups, and the next day I could do 50, and the day after that I could do 100. And long story short, I wound up doing every one of my own stunts in The Karate Kid 3, with the exception of one stunt where the bad guys are in a convertible and they race across some railroad tracks as a speeding train is coming by. And I said, you know what? There is no way that I almost died and I'm going to get taken out by a train. You can let the stunt man do that one.
You talked about that scene. You just took me back to the movie, because I remember that scene pretty vividly, because in that scene, or just before, well, I guess it was all part of the same scene, you had just finished mopping the floor with Ralph Macchio's character. And the funniest thing of all, I watched it in the theater and it was good, but then I remember watching it later and I'm thinking, this dude is talking smack the entire time he's beating the crap out of this guy. Because you were giving live commentary, and I didn't even catch that. I didn't catch it the first time I watched it. So that was hilarious. So
yeah, I had a lot of fun filming that, and more than the fun that I had filming it, I wouldn't trade the experience, the near-death experience, for anything, because when you're a young guy, you think you're invincible, and when you learn at a young age through something like that you're not invincible, it's a valuable life lesson. And I had to fight my way back into that movie, and so I just I feel like I really earned my place in that film, and it also it taught me a lot about myself. It gave me kind of a glimpse into my inner character, at least at that moment, that I was willing to fight to stay in that film, and that's, one of the reasons why I'm really so proud of it.
Oh, it was an outstanding product, and you look at it this way: you're at least I feel like you were the most memorable. I remember your villain character. I don't know quite so much as I did the Johnny Lawrence character, but like I said, I've seen him more because with Cobra Kai now out, we've kind of revisited him. But for example, the one you were sitting in watching as a fan, I couldn't even tell you what the character's name was of the actual antagonist in that movie. So see, he didn't leave a lasting impression like you did with me, and that's been quite a few years ago now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for some reason, Mike Barnes seemed to make quite an impression on the audience.
Well,
and it makes me feel really nice that people enjoy the performance and still recognize me from something I did 30 years ago.
Let's be honest, you were a little amped up in that movie. You could tell, like it's.
Oh no,
you were on a huge caffeine high during that movie. That's for sure. So. All right, so you've now made The Karate Kid 3. Like you just said yourself, it was one of the most recognizable, one of the movies and one of the most recognizable trilogies in movie history. You could punch your own tickets. You could do anything you wanted to at that point.
No, that's not exactly true, my friend.
Oh, you were not heavily connected at this point? All right.
I still had to fight and audition, and I was fortunate that I wound up getting a really plum role after that. I did a television series that Francis Ford Coppola produced. It was a television series based on the film The Outsiders, based on the book that S.E. Hinton wrote. And oddly enough, Ralph Macchio was in the film The Outsiders. And now one of the next things I'm doing is a TV show based on a film that he was in. So, it's interesting how Ralph has kind of woven his way in and out of my career. But that was a lot of fun, too, because I grew up reading those books.
I know you're super busy right now with everything you got going on, but I'm just, for the fans, please get in contact with them and try to make it into this newest season of Cobra Kai. Please.
I'll tell you, it's really funny. I just sent a message to Josh Held today. He's one of the producers. I'm hoping that at some point they will let me dust off the Cobra Kai gi and have a nice role in the show. I know the guys are big fans of the original series, obviously, and I think they want to try and work in as many of the original characters as they can. So I'm waiting to find out when, and I'll be ready.
That'd be fantastic. Look, like I said, you were on the big screen. You made your imprint on the big screen. When did you make the decision, or was it a little bit of fate, a little bit of luck, a little bit of both, that you ended up going to the small screen and entering into the soap opera world?
I know I did it kind of backwards. I screen tested for General Hospital in, I think, 1992. And I got the role, and once you are able to work in daytime and you achieve some success in it, it does make it easier for you to get onto other daytime shows. And I had success in it. I enjoyed it. I liked doing it. I liked the hours, and so I bounced around daytime off and on for 25 years or so, intermittently doing other films and TV shows. And, daytime's been really great to me, and that's one of the reasons that I created Studio City. I wanted to come up with a project that was effectively a love letter to the soaps and show what it's really like for an actor on a soap opera. And, we've been really successful with this show. It's gotten terrific reviews. People seem to really like it. And, we're on Amazon Prime, and I just hope everyone will check it out.
Well, like I said, I apologize to you all. I'm not a soap opera guy. I refer to myself as a neophyte when it came to that. I knew the shows that you actually were on. Like I said, I could not have told you what your character names were until I actually did a little research on what they were. But you actually created two of the more iconic roles in daytime television. So at this point, you when you were kind of rocking and rolling in the soap opera world, then you had put your stamp on the world. Then you'd punched your own ticket. At this point, everybody was beating your door down. That's how it works, right? You're established now in the Hollywood circles, and you could name your project in effect.
Well, my friend, I wish it was that easy, but as I always say, if you ain't Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, you're just another actor hustling for a job. It does get easier, and I've been able to do some other terrific projects that I'm very proud of, but I am still absolutely one of those guys that has to prove it in the room, audition. Not always. I definitely have had jobs offered to me, and that's always really nice when you don't have to audition, but not too frequently. Most of the times when people are putting money on the line, they want to see what you can do and make sure you can do it before they commit to putting you in a film. But it's been great. I think I've done 3 films in the last 2 years. Last year I did a film with Steven Seagal and DMX called Beyond the Law. And I did that with Timothy Woodward Jr., who was the director for all the Studio City episodes. Did another film with him a year or so before that called Gangsterland with Jason Patric and Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos, where it was a period piece about gangsters. So, I'm fortunate that I get to do a lot of independent films and do different things, because I get kind of restless when I'm doing the same thing all the time.
Okay. Now, before we dedicate these last few minutes of our conversation to Studio City, because I want you to tell the audience every aspect about it and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
A couple things I want to touch on real quick, though, because we were talking about, you got your degree from UCLA, pretty smart guy, even though you were killing yourself, before Karate Kid and didn't realize it.
Right.
You learned Mandarin Chinese just to learn it. You also.
Well, I'm studying Mandarin.
I think you were.
I wouldn't say I know Mandarin.
I think the story I heard was
for about a year.
Well, I think
but
the story
I study every day.
was you were bored.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So you let's see, you speak Italian, Russian. You speak. You're working on Mandarin.
I speak a little Russian, but primarily Italian is my second language, and I'm working pretty hard. Working pretty hard at the Mandarin. I have a tutor now who actually lives in China, and I do lessons with her, on Skype, and then I study myself. And I don't know, there's something about studying languages that just it allows me to sort of shut the rest of the world out, and it's almost like therapy for me.
Well, you don't need to be modest about how you speak Italian. You speak it so well. You are so popular in Italy that they actually featured you on a show in Italy. I guess it'd be the Dancing with the Stars version we have here in Italy.
That is great. I was on Ballando con le Stelle, which is Dancing with the Stars, the Italian version, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Very, very hard. Yeah,
you don't need to be modest how brilliant you are. You need to exude that. That's what Tom Cruise does. He exudes it. So.
Well, that's very kind of you, sir.
You also are an accomplished author. So how many books have you
I've
written
now? 2 books. And real happy that the one that came out last May is called Success Factor X. My partner, who I worked on that book with, Phil Lieberman, and I went out to 50 exceptional individuals, and we said, can you tell us what success means to you? And we got an unbelievable response. We got everybody from Mark Cuban and Anthony Robbins to the founding member of Run DMC, Daryl McDaniels, to gold medal athletes, baseball players, football players, Don King, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. And it was really interesting because these people they don't reference their success in terms of the material possessions that they have and the money that they make. They really, almost to an individual, refer to their success with their ability to help other people achieve their dreams and their goals and to live their most authentic life. And I really think that that's the true definition of success, living your best authentic life. I'm a firm believer that everybody has a masterpiece within themselves, and that masterpiece is their authentic self, and that sharing it with the world is really, why we're meant to be here.
Okay, for my listeners, his modesty is starting to flow through the speaker to me. What he didn't tell you is his book Success Factor was named one of the top 20 best inspirational books of the last 2 decades. So it's okay, man. It was a good book, sounds like to me. So, all right. So you're an author, you're an actor, you speak multiple languages. You're also a cook. I noticed that in your notes, and you're such a good cook. You actually wrote a book about it also.
Yeah,
is there anything?
I'm real proud of it.
Let me ask you a question. Is there anything that you have attacked that you have not conquered?
Oh, there's lots of things. I mean, listen, I really want to see Studio City reach as big an audience as possible, telling compelling stories. One of the reasons we're so proud of Studio City is that we deal with some really pertinent social issues. We deal with ageism and suicide and, the Me Too storyline and LGBTQ storyline. And we do it in a way that isn't heavy-handed. We're not beating anyone over the head. We do it in a way that makes you laugh sometimes, makes you cry other times, and all the while entertaining. And, I hope everyone will tune into Amazon Prime, check us out. You can watch the whole show, all 6 episodes in less than 90 minutes. And if people want to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, it's @Kanan, and I would love to hear what people think of the show. I want the show to be responsive to the audience in the sense that when they've got interesting ideas, things they'd like to see, actors they'd like to see, I want to do my best to bring them, the show that they want to see.
That's one thing I was going to bring up. The episodes, which before you and I, the first thing I think you and I talked, you told me to check it out, and I did, and I was really impressed with it. One thing that I see that's really compelling about what you got going on with this series, it's a very short format. I think it's going to be very well received, especially with a lot of the younger viewers, because their attention span is so short anyway. It's easier to keep them locked in.
I agree. I mean, I think we have come to be a soundbite generation, or a soundbite society, really, where we want to understand what something is quickly, and we want to watch shows. Gone are the days when you go to your couch once a week and watch your show at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. I mean, now you can watch whatever you want, whenever you want, on whatever device you want. And that's an incredible thing that didn't exist, when I started acting. And so the short form digital series really plays into that. You can, watch an episode on your lunch hour. You can watch it on your iPad, on your phone, while you're waiting for a subway. And, we think that's something that's really going to appeal to people.
Now, I realize it's digital format. I also realize it's very, from a time standpoint, it's very short episodes. Is that easier or more difficult to try to create and produce?
I think it's more difficult. I mean, truthfully, one of the reasons that we opted for the short form was, we had a very limited budget, and we also had very limited amount of time. We shot the entire 6 episodes in 5 days, which is absolutely unheard of. I mean, it just was a very crazy schedule. I'd love to have the luxury of, doing 1 episode a week with a much larger budget, and hopefully that's what's going to be, coming for us. But we did the best with what we had, and felt like the short form series was what would be the best way to introduce the show to the audience.
Well, since you are part of the cutting edge now, since you are part of, and you've also been part of the old guard, because you've done it both ways, do you see like the episodic style, standard episodic style format, do you see it eventually just fading away, like out of existence, and everything going to this shorter time frame, digital format? You see everything going digital format at this point?
I don't see everything going short form, that's for sure. But I mean, I think that if soap operas didn't have such a loyal following based on years of viewership, and they were just starting brand new right now, I don't know that they would be able to achieve the kind of success that they have, because people are so busy, and like I said, they want to watch it when they want to watch it and how they want to watch it. I think that's one of the great things that's happening now are people are putting out the entire season of a show so you can watch it all at once, because people don't really like waiting a week to see their the show that you want to watch the whole thing when you want to watch it right away and then move on to something else. So I do think that that's going to be kind of the wave of the future. It's here to stay.
Yeah, I was just curious what your opinion was. I know, like I said, you've been on both sides of this fence. I was wondering which way you felt. I've actually had a couple of previous guests that I've talked to, and they've done stuff similar to what you're doing with digital format. And both of those guests actually said that they see the old style episodic television and stuff like that fading away simply for one reason, because the audience that's actually attracted to that, as they start to die off, that the interest will start to fade also, because the younger audience, like I said earlier, the younger audience, they're a microwave society. They want everything within a minute. They're not used to waiting. They're not I grew up, I'm a convection oven kid, okay? I had to sit and wait for a pizza to cook in the oven.
Me too, bro.
I didn't get the opportunity to pop it in the microwave and a minute and a half later be able to eat, and then you had to stand there and watch it to make sure it wasn't burning it, because, the oven wasn't always cooking even. So, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. My generation and people older than me, I see standard episodic stuff just sort of fading off into the distance, like the way of the train and the way of the horse, the car took the place of the horse, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I was wondering if you thought digital format not only was gonna be the standard, but how quickly you thought it was actually gonna kind of replace.
Honestly, I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, but I think gone are the golden years of television where the whole family gathers around the TV at a specific time to watch a show once a week. I just don't think that paradigm, I think, is gone forever.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you on that, because in my own family, for example, we don't even all sit at the dinner table together anymore. That was a big deal when I was a kid. You had to be there. Everybody had to sit there together and eat dinner, and you actually had to talk to people. You couldn't be on your phone. You couldn't ignore the people at the table. And like I tell everybody, you don't know what you've missed until it's completely gone. And that's what I'm wondering, is this standard episodic stuff, when it's really, really gone, will it make everything makes a resurgence, for example. I just noticed, I saw something on Facebook because of this pandemic we got going on, that the drive-in theaters they're talking about it having a possibility of a renaissance. And I
saw that too.
I would be blown away.
It's great. I love drive-ins.
Yeah, I would be blown away to get a chance to go to an old drive-in theater. The last one I can remember going to, I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and I'm 50 now, so that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. That was always like a big, exciting thing to go do, to go to the drive-in.
Big deal, man.
Sit out
a big deal.
Summer night.
But that's just like you were talking about, wanting to watch stuff when you want to watch it on your own time frame. Going to the movie theater used to be a big deal, but it's not anymore.
Right.
Yeah, everybody wants to be able to get it through streaming service, and that's why I think it's brilliant that you guys are providing your show during the streaming service. Now, hey, before you get out of here, one more time, give us all your information about how to find Studio City and how to find you, because like I said, you've got some fans from back in the soap opera days and the Karate Kid days that are going to be listening to this and going to be excited to try to catch up with you. And you're going to pick up some new fans the minute that they get a chance to watch Studio City. So go ahead and give us that information.
I appreciate all your fans tuning in to listen to this interview. If they want to follow me, they can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Kanan, CANKANAN. And you can watch Studio City on Amazon Prime. And like I said, please let me know what you think. I'm really interested to hear the thoughts of all of our viewers.
Now, season 1 is complete. You guys are in the middle of season 2, or season 2 is wrapped also?
No, we have not started season 2 yet. We are waiting to find out, what television production in the post era of the coronavirus looks like. And I think,
absolutely understand.
For a lot of people, that's up in the air right now. But it took me well over a decade to get Studio City made, because it's just not easy getting things made. And if I have anything to say about it, we're gonna have a second season. It
would be extremely difficult to try to Skype or Zoom an episode. Actually film an episode through Skype or Zoom. I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. I cannot thank you.
All right, now
enough.
listen. Hey, thank you so much. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side of this. Okay?
Hey, brother. You have a great day.
Take care of yourself, buddy.
Have a great day, man.
All the best.
Amen. And as always, guys, that's Walley out.